Bose is not making my job easy. Right, let's try and make this a really simple intro. These are the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra Series 1, Gen 1, whatever, and these are the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra Gen 2. And yes, they're both the same colour, which is fine actually, because it does mean I can show you the subtle differences between the two in terms of design. However, what you want to know, and you've been telling me for the last 2 months, is what are the second generation like? Are they better? Are they worth upgrading to from the first generation? If you haven't got a pair of these at all at the moment, should you go for the second or the first generation? And in this video, I'm going to answer those questions. Yes, I've had them for 2 months, but it's been iPhone season, Black Friday, loads of stuff going on. And actually, having had them for 2 months, it does mean I can give you a very rounded opinion on Bose's latest flagship ANC earbuds. No, did I say earbuds? Headphones. But they did this earlier in the year with the earbuds, so they went from the first generation to the second generation, and the differences were fairly minor, but they were quite important, and they did result in a better pair of earbuds. So, have they done that with these? Before we get started, although this video isn't sponsored, we do have some fantastic brand partners who help me keep the lights on in this studio. One of those is Brain FM. Brain FM is basically an app that you can install on your iPhone or your Android device, and it pipes music into your head that makes you, well, it can make you more productive. It's not completely guaranteed, but for the last 3 years, I can't work without Brain FM. Go and check that fantastic deal out in the description down below. And, well, let's get into this. Let's go through the specs in terms of what has changed and what hasn't changed. Firstly, we have Bluetooth 5.4 now over Bluetooth 5.3. Nice. Lossless audio over USB-C. Happy days. A cinema mode for video, which I'll come on to later. A refined ANC algorithm, so in theory, the noise cancelling should be a bit better on the Gen 2. Smarter on-head detection, so when you take them off your head and the music pauses and you put them back on and it starts playing again, that should be more reliable. 30 hours battery over 24 hours battery, a slightly quicker and better fast charging, standby power savings, and a slightly different leather material, an updated design, as Bose calls it. That's pretty much all the changes. The dimensions are the same, the case is the same, the controls are the same, the pricing at launch is the same, $449 in both the UK and the US. It's pretty much the same pair of headphones, apart from a few subtle changes. And also, the Gen 1 are now 300 quid or $300 on the Bose website, and you can actually get them for a bit cheaper if you shop around. This begs many questions. Noise cancelling. Let's get real for a second. In fact, for the entire video. We live in a world now where we have an abundance of amazing tech. It's very hard to buy a bad pair of headphones, particularly if you're spending over 300 quid, $300. And I think personally that Bose and Sony share the crown when it comes to the best active noise cancelling headphones on the market. Sony with the XM6 and Bose with the Quiet Comfort Ultra. I will be doing a full comparison between the Gen 2 and the XM6 relatively soon, so make sure you hit subscribe not to miss that video. But the difference between these two headphones when it comes to ANC isn't that massive. In fact, you really have to A/B test. You have to do that thing where you put these on, you listen for a bit, and then you take them off, and then you put these on and you do the same thing. When you do that, you notice that the Gen 2s go slightly quieter. The world disappears a little bit more with these, but everything else is pretty much the same. There's no hiss, no big issues with certain frequencies. You know, I've taken these on planes, on trains, automobiles, everything, and they deal with different environments and different shifts in your environment very, very well. But then so do the Gen 1s. The Gen 1s do the same thing, and you do have to have both pairs to hand to notice the subtle difference. So Bose has made a change, they have improved it, but it's very much iterative. It's not a big world-beating difference, because it can't be, because they were already one of the best pairs on the market when it comes to ANC. The same goes for the transparency mode, when you let the outside world in so you can hear the surroundings and hear yourself talking. They are one of the best on the market with that. They are very close, very, very close to the AirPods Max when it comes to transparency. The Gen 2 are slightly better, so they have slightly less top end. You know, with the Gen 1, it's just a little bit more artificial, but again, you have to A/B test the two to notice that. So noise cancelling, it is slightly better, but not better enough for you to go from the Gen 1 to the Gen 2. And that brings me to the mic test. Right, let's start with the Gen 2s. I'm on a very busy road, lots of traffic coming past, a bit of wind hitting the ear cups. This is quite a challenge for headphones like this when it comes to the mic quality. And I'm always surprised by the results when I listen back. So these are the Gen 2s. Let's switch to the Gen 1s and see how they fare. And these are the Gen 1s. Again, noisy road, lots of cars driving past, a little bit of wind hitting the ear cups. As I mentioned earlier, the transparency mode on these, on both headphones, is fantastic. But what we're interested in here is the mic quality. So are these better or worse, or the same, than the Gen 2? Get involved in the comments and back to me in the studio. On to the audio, and Bose doesn't claim that they've made any changes to the Bluetooth audio on the Gen 2s, and because of that, they sound identical to the Gen 1s. They sound just as good, and that's a very good thing because they do sound good. They are rich, they're full, they are wide. I think Bose has nailed pretty much the consumer premium headphone sound. You don't need to EQ these, in my humble opinion. Sound is very subjective, but I think they've struck the balance perfectly when it comes to the EQ that you get out of the box. The one thing that you do get on these over these is USB-C lossless audio, which I've not tested that yet, to be fair, but I will do at some point. But it's there, it's not there on the first gen. If that's important to you, get the second gen. Simple as that. We also have the cinema mode, which is an improved algorithm for watching movies, and it basically brings all the vocal information to the front of the stage, and it's very clear, very decipherable, which is quite handy on certain films these days where they mumble and it's not fantastic audio. And the Atmos effect, the wide spatial effect that you get on these, is stunning. I used these on a long haul flight to Indonesia recently, and it was just a wonderful way to watch films. They just sounded fantastic. So the fact you get that as well, happy days. But there's one other element that I didn't want Bose to ruin. The crowning glory of the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra Gen 1s is the fact they are so comfortable and so light. It makes them very hard not to recommend. The good news is that the Gen 2 are just as light. I think it's an identical weight, basically. We'll put the weight down here. However, they are even more comfortable. And I think that's because they've changed this material. So whatever this different leather stuff is, it's just more comfortable. There's less clamping force. And somehow, for some reason, they just feel a bit more premium. These don't feel unpremium, but these feel more premium because of that choice of material. And the reduced clamping force means you can just wear them for even longer. They are utterly comfortable. Unbelievably so. They're also, design-wise, I think, very, very nice. They have changed slightly. So, on the Gen 1, this is all matte. It's like a matte finish. On the Gen 2, it's shiny, it's polished. The only downside with that is that they do get a bit fingerprinty, but they do look more premium. So it's a nice little update. As I mentioned earlier, the buttons are the same, so we get a combination of buttons for Bluetooth and ANC and play controls, and touch controls for volume. So you kind of move your finger on there to turn the volume up and down. It works, and the volume thing isn't in the way, so you don't accidentally press it when you're readjusting the headphones. I think Bose has struck that balance between buttons and touch controls very nicely. They've also got the case right. The case is the same, it's no different, but these are a very rare pair of headphones because they do that. They fold properly. Thank you, Bose, thank you. But the case is just fantastic. A lovely material. It wears very well. This is the Gen 1 case, which has gone all around the world with me and been chucked into backpacks and all sorts of things. And, well, look at it. Barely a mark on it. And this brings me to an inevitable conclusion. If you've got the Gen 1s, there's no reason to upgrade to the Gen 2s unless your Gen 1s are falling apart or you want that USB-C lossless audio. Otherwise, save your money. If you don't have a pair of these at the moment, which pair do you buy? If you find a very good deal for the Gen 1s and you're not bothered about the lossless audio and you're not bothered about having the latest and greatest, just get these. They are utterly superb and a bit of a bargain, I think. The Gen 2s are for people who want the latest and greatest, who have that budget and who want the USB-C lossless audio. I think that is the key thing, because the differences are they're iterative. This is a mid-season refresh. The good news is that Bose is still top of the tree with Sony when it comes to ANC headphones. And yes, that battle is coming, I promise, because one of them has to walk away with the crown at some point, don't they? So remember, hit subscribe not to miss that. And guys, if you're watching this in November or December 2025, we're running a giveaway for an iPhone 17 before Christmas. Get involved in the description down below.